Good evening and welcome to the show. This evening my guest will be Ms. Elizabeth Rosario, and she's the Executive Director for A Bridge for Us Community Outreach. And we have Mr. Miles Harris. He's a participant of the program and a mentor. How y'all doing this evening?
We're doing great, thank you.
Doing fine. How are you?
Great, great. A Bridge for Us Community Outreach. Tell us a little bit about that program, man.
A Bridge for Us Community Outreach is actually a reentry program. And what a Bridge for Us does is help people from the bridge is actually a resemblance of crossing over from bondage into freedom. And a lot of people, when they go to jail or they come out of prison, they have a stigma from being there, and they're not very well greeted by society because society has a tendency to want to give that person a civil death sentence after that, even though they have, done their time. Granted, we know that people that, some people, if you commit a crime, you have to pay the price and all that. But the fact that a person needs a second chance is often not acknowledged in society. So what A Bridge for Us does is we help the person with all the tools and the resources necessary to help them get back into the mainstream of life and to be able to support them in the areas of employment or life skills, or just giving them a chance to, transition into the community.
Right. So how long has the program been in existence?
This program has been in existence since 1998 and it originated in New York, and I'm the founder. And then in 2007, I came to North Carolina because this is where I feel that God has directed me to come over here and provide the services here.
Mr. Harris, okay, you were a participant of the program, and you're also a mentoring program. Tell us a little bit about what did you gain the most about being in the program?
One of the things I gained most was being able to have the confidence to allow people to know who I was, even though, I had been incarcerated for, almost 9 years. I was incarcerated for like 8 years and 6 months off and on. I was doing the prison sentence on the installment plan. I would do a little here and a little there and a little here and a little there. But it all equaled out into like 8 years. And then once I met up with Miss Rosario, I had met her at an event that I cooked for, and we spoke, and I became unemployed, and one of the unemployment commission people told me to participate in this program, and it was her. And as I got to know her, I got to see that maybe this is where I need to be at this particular time, in my life, to be able to give back what somebody had given to me, giving them a direction.
Correct.
On knowing, how to adjust to society. And that's what that bridge was for me, getting outside of me and giving it to somebody else so they know how to conduct themselves when they're outside, and they have to make the life-changing decisions that can affect them.
Ms. Rosario, tell us about what motivated you to want to start this organization?
Actually, I am a product of what I'm doing. And coming from that type of a background, I feel like I had a divine calling to give back to the community, to give back to other people that were in the same place where I was at one time. So I just developed this passion to want to help people. And I started to look around me, and I just didn't know how I was going to get started. But little by little, as things came to light, I was driven to do this. And I was one of the people that was pretty much blessed to be able to get a job because I have an accounting background, and those skills are still good. And I happened to have landed a very good job up north, but I knew that I had a calling to do this, so I had to put that aside. And it was a very hard decision for me to make, but I knew that this is what I had to do. And I'm very thankful about that. And even though I'm not making the money that I was making then, I know that this is what I have to do. And I get a lot of gratification seeing that I could help someone to make a change. Because this is a population that is underserved, and there are very few people that want to help people. We kind of like want to sweep it under the rug. And in the whole scheme of things, if you really think about it, it costs the taxpayer money to have a person in jail. So why not help them to transform that life into something positive? and to have people become productive members of society, as opposed to pushing them away and telling them you can't get a job, you can't get an apartment because you have a record. So what is that person supposed to do? What are we doing? We're pushing them back into the same mainstream where they came from, to criminal activity, because how are they supposed to survive? And, you know, it is my understanding that Department of Social Services will say if a person has a drug related charge, they can't get food stamps, which we know there's been a lot of manipulation, all that in the system, but everybody is not to pay for that. And so what is the person supposed to do, not eat anymore? But, you know, it's a very touchy situation, but this is my part to do. I feel like I've been directed to do this, to help people get food, clothing, employment, and all the things that they need, the support that they need. In some cases, we have mental health issues that need to be addressed. So we have partnering organizations around us that help us to do these things.
The question of building on the individual's self-esteem. How do y'all go about helping them out when, you know, there's the way the economy is going right now with the jobs and all? How do you continue to get their self-esteem to be at that level?
It's not an easy task, but what we do is we let them know that they can't throw the towel in. And, you know, you're still here, you're still a human being, and look at the positive things as opposed to look to the negative things in life. You know, you can still walk, you can still talk, you can see, you can eat, and all those good things. So let's go forward. We can't keep on looking back, because when you look back, you stumble. So this is the kind of motivation that we give them, to tell them, stay focused on what your goal is. You know, do a little research. You know, this is the kind of exercises that we have going on within the program, and see what it is that you want to do. Find your niche. You know, see exactly what you might be interested in, and go after your passion, and stop focusing on the negative things that have happened. We cannot erase yesterday, but tomorrow is a new day. And that's the kind of motivation that we share with them.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
How difficult was it for you coming from incarceration to society, looking for these jobs, and you probably would turn down sometimes?
When I got out of the correctional facility I was in New Jersey, there was a gentleman named Robert Leonard that told me I had a problem, and it was drugs. And he asked me if I would go to a rehab. And when I stayed in that rehab 90 days, and I knew I wasn't cured. So I went to another rehab, and I told them what I wanted to do. And they said, we'll help you. I stayed in that program for 18 months, and they helped me go through school. And during that process, people kept seeing things in me that I didn't see, and they said, just keep pushing forward. Just keep pushing. Don't give up, because once you give up, all bets are off. And then one day a gentleman came to me and said, go to school. Go to school. So I proceeded to go to school and get my degree in culinary arts. Once you get that degree and that piece of paper, and people see your work ethic, they can only turn you down so much. You know, they can only turn you down so much. If they see that you are willing to come in and just peel 250 pounds of potatoes all day, or make pierogies all day, they'll be like, okay, well, we can show him something else. And then you gradually keep moving up and moving up and moving up. And then you slowly but surely build your resume and build your self-esteem that I can tackle any task that comes before me. And so I just never gave up. Yes, it was some defeats in there, but I kept moving forward, because you're not going to hold me down. I'm going to always try to push forward and do the best I can. That is the one thing I can appreciate, you know, going through this process of being reintroduced into society, as they call us. You know, I understand now that, you know, I just got to keep moving forward.
When y'all see an individual come into your program, how do you, you know, encourage him to let him know that if he continues to do what they're going to do, follow the program, trusting God, and believe in yourself? how do you get that into that individual?
Well, first of all, the first thing I say is you've got to want to do this. Because no matter what we say or any program that they go to, unless that person wants to do that, and to me, them walking into that door is an indication that they want to make change. But at any rate, at that point, when we do the assessment, I get a feel of the person and I tell them, you know, what do you want to do? What can I do for you? Are you ready to do this? Because you can't give up, but it's up to you. The ball is in your park, so it's up to you how you want to, you know, play this ball game. But, you know, you have to want to make that change. And I think that for the most part, most people are interested. Some of them drop out after a while because they just give up, especially if they're looking for a job. Right. But for the most part, people will stay in the program and, you know, just go ahead and finish it. We have a pretty good success rate as far as completion of the program. Now, as far as finding jobs, we've had some people that have found good jobs, but you know, it's not always, we're still working on that, and we're trying to raise public awareness to let the public know that they're people just like everybody else. When the person walks into the door, I don't see an ex-offender. I see a person that needs help. I see an individual like everybody else in life. It's not just an offender. It's a person that needs help, needs a chance to be able to make change.
And I think basically you have to run into that right individual because, like you said, there's a lot of people that have this stigma that if you've been incarcerated, that you're a certain individual, and then their whole idea, and they don't even give you the chance.
Right.
And you may have an outstanding individual like yourself, sir, and just like you said, they just want to. Some individuals just want a chance.
That's all.
That's right.
A lot of people, they want the chance. And when I go to speak to gentlemen, I tell them, be passionate about what you want. Be passionate and understand that you may get turned down. You may get turned down, but don't give up. You know, strip down yourself. Strip down everything that society have said you are. I mean, and come and reinvent yourself. Come back out, because like cooking for me is a passion. I've reinvented myself so people see that, wow, this guy knows what he's doing when he gets in the kitchen. Now, mind you, I'm not going to twist the light bulb out because that's not my thing. But if you put me in the kitchen, it's a whole nother ball game. I understand where my calling is for me. And that's what they have to understand. What's your calling? Strip yourself down and to come into it open-minded. As they say, be like a sponge. Soak up the information and then use that information to the best of your ability. Everything may not apply to you, but most of the things that we try to tell people, it will hit home somewhere.
How do you deal with that issue of peer pressure? Because I know that's always a factor. I mean, when that individual, he start thinking negative, and you got your friends telling you, you never get a job. How do you get them from that peer?
We get that all the time. As far as like, you know, but one of the things that we teach, one of the tools that we use is changing people, places, and things, and to stop listening to the voices outside of you, because you have to stay focused. And like Mr. Harris always says, stay in your lane. You know, stay focused on that lane and know that you have a goal to reach. And this is all about you. You have to make that decision, and the battle is between the eyes. The battle is in the mind. And if you could get out of your mind as far as listening to the voices that are telling you that it cannot be done, you're still here. You still have a life to live. A lot of the people still have families and children that they have become estranged to because of whatever happened in their life as far as the criminal background is concerned. And then we have professionals coming through that have been misplaced. People that have bachelor's degrees, some master's degrees, and they have been displaced because the economy has, you know, some employers have cut backs and things of that nature, and they have been laid off, and now they're trying to get back into the workforce, but because they have that criminal background, they can't get a job. So, you know, we try to encourage them to stay focused, and we just, you know, we are going through but the economy is going through a recession right now. I've got lost for that word. So we have to be aware of that as well, because even people that don't have a record are having problems, but we have to stay focused and not give up and keep looking and keep trying. So the peer pressure, I just tell them about, you know, don't worry about what so-and-so is doing over there. You have to stay focused on you and what you want to do with your life, you know, and you have to change people, places, and things, and this is the only way this is going to work for you.
How did you deal with that, Mr. Harris, as far as your peer pressure? And I know you had it. We all go through that.
Oh, yeah. I went through it because, I mean, when I first went to rehab and I left rehab, I went straight back into the environment that I grew up in. I went from one part of New Jersey back into Patterson, New Jersey, where I grew up at, and where I got hired, where I ran the streets at. But I surrounded myself with people who wanted to do the same thing I wanted to do.
Exactly.
They wanted to get clean, stay clean, and to live. See, I have this passion right now. I want to enjoy life. I don't want to just live life or exist. I want to leave something for my kids to be proud of, to say, wow, you know, Pops did his thing. You know, I don't want them to think, oh, he was in and out of jail. He was doing this. He was doing that. No, I don't want that. I want somebody to look back on my life and say, Miles did what he did what God called him to do. And that's the one thing. I didn't let anybody get into my head to think that I could conquer this all by myself. It was people before me who laid the groundwork for me to be to where I am today. And I'm still surrounded by people in that facility that I was in New Jersey. I go see them every time I go back to see my mom. You know, I didn't forget where I come from. And I'm not going to subject myself to going back out there hanging on the streets and doing, because that's going to do nothing but lead me back into the lifestyle that got me incarcerated in the first place. I can't do that right now. You know, I love living. I love enjoying nice things. I love having a nice car. I like having a nice pair of shoes. You know, I enjoy those things. When I was out there on the streets doing my thing, all bets were off.
Correct. What are some of the hardest things that your participant encountered?
Well, of course, trying to find employment. A lot of them are homeless when they leave the facility for different reasons. A lot of the participants that come into the program have been in the streets for a long time, and trying to find a shelter after they leave there is very hard. Shelters are overcrowded. The Department of Corrections does a lot of things, especially here in North Carolina, for the participants while they're in there, as far as training and helping them with the reentry process and things of that nature. But the hardest thing is them finding a place for them to stay, because a lot of times I get a phone call and they're telling me, I have nowhere to go. Do you have some place that I could go? Or sometimes when we have meetings at the Department of Corrections, they ask, do you have a home? And that's something that we're working on. That's the next step for a bridge for us. We want to open up a transitional housing program, whereas we could house these women, at least 8 to 10 women, well, we're starting off with the women, but there are some men shelters out here. But all of it is needed, men and women, because they're homeless. So if they're homeless, how can they survive? And you know, how could they get back, especially the women, back with their children? If we think about it, the children are in the foster care system. The women are homeless. They can't get a job. So it's a very big problem, and that needs to be addressed and not ignored. And that's what we'd like to raise public awareness about, you know, that this is a population that does need help, support, and it's beneficial to all of us, because it'll be a relief on the tax dollars that we're paying as far as, you know, maintaining prisons.
Mr. Harris, when you go and talk to these, because you talk to the individuals at the jail,
Yes.
when one of the issues is possibly being homeless, what type of answer do you provide them? You know, I mean, because that is a big issue.
Absolutely. One of the things that I try to say is, you know, go to the shelter. I mean, I know it's like not where you want to be, but at that time you may need to go there. You may need to go there to see how far, you know, your actions have brought you. down, because your actions have put you in a situation now where, you know, I have to go on public assistance. I have to be homeless. I have to live a certain way until I'm able to get back on track and do what I need to do to acquire an apartment, to acquire a job, to be able to do what I need to do to take care of my kids. Because, I mean, it's gonna happen. You know, you have to just, you know, hey, swallow your pride, get humble, and do the shelter until you find yourself in a situation where you can get an apartment. Even if you can only get a room, take that room and move forward. I mean, I started out shelter, and I went through the transitional housing. That shelter, I went to the second phase, which was the halfway house, the third phase, which was a rehab, the outpatient program, and then me and one of the guys from the program, we got an apartment together. And it just started from there, you know, and I only live with people in recovery, in, you know, Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics. And I live with people who are doing the same thing I'm doing. You're not going to live in the house with me and you doing something that I'm not, because we're going to have problems. Because like I'm not going to tolerate living just any type of way, because I know what happens when that element comes into play. So it's, you know, you just have to let them know, like, if that's where you have to go, then go there and work forward. Don't look back, as she said, work forward, and you'll get to where you want to be.
I know you mentioned that that's one of the biggest issues. Do you ever try to, like, partner with people, organizations that have transitional housing, whereas you can kind of like send your participants to them?
Oh, that's exactly what we do now. I also go inside the prisons and speak to the women. And then we make presentations about the services that we provide at the program. We do partner with other organizations around us and ask them if they have beds available for our participants. But the Department of Corrections does that as well, you know, while they're in there. But there's just a limited amount of places that they could send. There's a lack of housing, you know. And even the women's shelter, I mean, I know they're overcrowded, the Salvation Army, they're doing a great job, but it's just, there's so many people that it's kind of hard to be able to help them. That's why we need more programs, and you know, like some people say, you might be reinventing the wheel. That's never the case. All of it is needed. And we need to work collaboratively, because it takes a village to help and have somebody succeed. You know, we need to care about people and one another, and that there is change in people. Look, we are prime examples of change, you know, so we can't just give up on people, and we need to keep on, you know, looking forward and looking for exploring different avenues of how we could help. And housing is a very, very big thing.
Where do you see your program at 5 years from now?
Well, we're looking at the transitional housing piece, and we also would love to, when we're working on it, this is something that I know it's going to happen, to start businesses to be able to employ just ex-offenders. Yeah, that's one of the things that we want to do, because it's such a hard thing. They're having such a hard time trying to find employment. So we want to create businesses. I mean, they learn trades when they're, especially in prison. There are people that do upholstery, so they learn how to do upholstery. There are trades that they learn inside the prison. So the prison is actually doing a great job doing that. So when they come home, or carpentry, or whatever the case might be, they could use those skills. And we want to start businesses that would be around those areas that they have learned, so that we could employ them. And I've been an entrepreneur before, and even if I hadn't been, I would be, you know, interested in learning. But I am going to school. But I'm going to school at Central Piedmont for human services and case management now. I finished this semester, thank God. But and I've learned a whole lot about this industry.
Mr. Harris, where do you see yourself at 5 years from now?
5 years from now. 5 years from now, I honestly pray that I'm still doing what I'm doing, giving back to the brothers in correctional facilities, still cooking, doing my own thing, because I want to do this. I want to be that person you can call on that say, Miles, I need for you to come speak to my guys. Miles, I need you to come speak to these guys. Miles, I need you to come speak to these guys. I want to be that person that'll help out when you need to. And still cooking, because I don't think I'll ever stop cooking. That is my passion. That is what I love to do.
He's a great cook.
So I don't ever think I will ever stop cooking. You know, I tell my wife quite often. You know, people talk about retiring at 65. I don't see myself retiring. Not from cooking, because it's something I enjoy doing. But those are the things, like in 5 years, I just want to be able to have a good frame of mind and still out here doing what I need to do to make sure that, you know, you can help somebody else out. You know, pull a brother up by the hand. You can't pull up all of them, but you can pull one and see if he can pull one, and they can pull one, and we can just keep pulling each other up.
That's right.
Where's your office located at?
We're currently operating out of the Monroe Road, the Employment Security Commission.
Okay.
That's located at 10801 Monroe Road in Matthews. And we have an office there, a conference room where we do our workshops. That's where we're located. And there's this bus that stops right there. It's a number 27 bus, I believe. It stops right in front of the place.
Ms. Rosario, Mr. Harris, I'd like to say thank you for coming on the show. And, you know, continue the outstanding work that you do for the individuals that's trying to get their feet together, you know, back on. Because that's like you said, they need that little motivation, that encouragement. That's what they're searching for.
Well, we thank you for having us.
Oh, no, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? The purpose of the show is just helping the community out, you know, educating them, letting them know that you may fall down, but you can always get back up.
That's right.
Just dust yourself off and get yourself together. You know, that's the key thing. I mean, we all been through there.
That's right.
You know, that road, and we're testimony saying that it can be done.
Yes.
You know, never give up.
That's
That's
right.
it.
And with programs like yourselves and mentors like yourself, Mr. Harris, you know, I mean, the sky's the limit.
That's it.
Stop. Be encouraged, audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs.
Are we off?